This is six-time IFBB Bikini Pro Champion Brina Martinez, and I take ZMA5 to make sure that I get the zinc, magnesium, and vitamin B6 needed to keep my immune system healthy and snack strong.
Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Marcos Villegas, being joined with Paige Vanzant, who fights Britain Hardin, coming up in her bare knuckle debut in Florida, coming up February 5th. Paige, thank you so much for joining us. And right away, like, are you crazy? Like, this is like, dude, like, this is like some hardcore, like, ish. Like, I've seen these bare knuckle fights. Like, people get messed the F up.
They do. They definitely do. But okay, I think what's crazy to me is how shocking it is for people because in, the UFC and MMA, you can get kicked in the face, you can get kneed in the face and get elbowed, and you don't wear shin pads or knee pads or elbow pads. And I'd much rather be hit with a fist than a bare shin. That's like, it hurts so
Really?
much worse.
Then a shin will cut you and put you out.
The shin will put you to sleep. Like the bare knuckle, like so much, like the risk of like long-term injury. And this has been proven. They did a scientific study that the bare knuckle boxing is actually safer long-term for like concussion rates, breaking your knuckles than an MMA fight.
But you're so pretty, Paige. Like, you don't want to mess up your face. Like, I know you're a fighter, and you've been cut before. We've seen you in these UFC fights.
Yes.
But
my question, why do you have to choose? Like, why would you have to be either beautiful or tough? Like, why do those two things not go together? Mm-hmm. Like, those are the same. They're like, they're synonyms. Beautiful and strong are the exact same.
Good point. But just if you get a nasty cut or a scar, like I think when people see that and they see like the photos, they're just like, oh man, like this is for real. It's like, this is some serious ish.
For sure. But that sounds like a them problem, not a me problem.
So you're obviously you're not having second thoughts of this. You're like 100% in, but are you still finding resistance from like family or your husband or anything like that? Like, I don't know about this. I don't know. Maybe you shouldn't have done this.
No, absolutely not. There was definitely a moment in time when I had first decided to go with BKFC that my husband was kind of disappointed. Of course, he wanted me to sign with Bellator. It's pretty well known. I mean, he fights for Bellator. It was like this idea of us fighting together for the same organization on the same card made so much sense. And the idea of it,
couples goals right there.
Yeah, it would be magical, it'd be a really big deal. But, I had to go where my passion lied. And this is the one that excited me. Like, this makes me feel like a badass. This is that one that was like, I want to do that.
So how was it presented to you? And what was like your first initial reaction when it was presented to you?
Pretty easy. When I had become a free agent, that gives these organizations the opportunity to start negotiating with myself, or it was my manager. So it gave them the liberty to start the negotiation process. And, I had the first offer we got actually was from BKFC. That was the first, or maybe it wasn't the first offer, but that was the first phone call I got from my manager that was like, hey, this is the first legitimate offer we have. This is like the one for today. I'll call you later this afternoon because I'm speaking with like 6 other people, blah, blah, blah. So it was the first one that came through, and I was, sitting with my husband at the beach actually in Oregon. And I was like, oh my gosh, like it just wasn't one we had even thought of being on the radar. We thought that there was going to be 2 big players going back and forth. And there was those 2, but then there was like, 3 more that came out of nowhere. And we're like, holy cow. And the one that made me passionate, and the one we're sitting there on the beach, I was like, I'm going to be a bare knuckle boxer. I just know it. Like, I just knew that was the one I was going to end up with.
Had you seen any of the fights before the offer? And what was your impression before?
Yeah, I had, it was always exciting. There has been a few UFC fighters who had made the transition over. I remember the most iconic one was Artem fighting. And just the noise that fight made and how exciting it was and how crazy, and everybody paid attention to that. It was a big deal. And I was able to go to my first bare knuckle boxing event. And, you know, there's a few moments in like MMA, you know, it's a 5-minute round. It'll be like, I strike, you strike. It's kind of like this back and forth battle. You'll have these moments where you feel each other out, and 5 minutes is a long time. So you feel your opponent out, you get a sense of what the fight is going to be like. Whereas in the bare knuckle boxing, it is a sprint from the very beginning bell. You have 5 2-minute rounds, and in 2 minutes, you have to do everything you can to win that round. So it's a lot more exciting, I guess. Every second of the fight is exciting for me.
Yeah, that Paulie versus Artem fight that they put on obviously got a lot of attention, but I think Paulie tried to approach it like a boxing fight in a way, because, you know, obviously, you know, Paulie's a boxer, you know, he ended up breaking his hands during it. You know, how have you had to adjust from what you're coming from in MMA and UFC in your style, which, you know, you come forward, but your grappling is very, very good, and adjusted to approaching this?
Yeah, you know, for this, there's the few obvious changes of just focusing on striking and just focusing on boxing. The amazing thing is, coming over from the UFC or coming over from MMA to this, we're already used to extremely small gloves. The UFC gloves, especially for like the strawweight and flyweight division versus the heavyweight division, are much smaller. So they're tiny gloves. It's already a little closer than obviously a traditional boxer coming over as far as the glove size. So that's something that it's not as much to adjust to. There's a little bit you have to do. It's still like training your knuckles. You don't want it to be a total shock when you punch something with no gloves on. You want to know that you can feel what it feels like and feel the pain and be okay with all of it. So there's that, you know. In here, in bare knuckle, you can clinch, which is exciting. That's something that you can't do in traditional boxing. You're like really utilize the clinch and dirty box and stuff. So a few minor adjustments from MMA, but still, you know, pretty smooth and straightforward.
All that seems so interesting to me, and just preparing, because this is something completely different. Okay, so we're gonna get into the training part of this, and I'm just curious, have you thought about like how it's gonna feel like knuckle on face? Like, you seem like such a nice person. Like, I don't think you've had a lot of street fights, did you? Like, where you?
No, I have not had a lot of street fights. And
Okay.
yes, I'm a nice person, but I'm also a psycho. So you know what? Like, when I first signed with BKFC, like, people don't realize, I was in my kitchen, I was making my husband punch me with bare knuckles to see what it felt like. And no, he didn't hit me as hard as he could, obviously. I was just wanting to feel what it felt like on different parts of your face. And you know, there's things you can do, you know, like you feel what it feels like. And, you know, I've been training with some of the best athletes of all time for a very long time. I know what it feels like to get hit really hard. I've been training with like most of my teammates, especially when I was like Team Alpha Male, are small men, and they fight in the UFC. So, you know, feeling how hard those people hit, I don't know that it's going to be that big of a difference to have a girl hitting you in the face. You know, you train hard with the best in the world. You know, you're kind of prepared for that aspect of it.
Mentally, have you had to make an adjustment knowing that, hey, I'm probably going to get cut in this fight and I'm going to bleed a lot probably?
I've been there, done that. The blood definitely doesn't bother me. And especially going into any fight, you know the risks. For me, I feel like going into this fight, there's almost a smaller sense of fear of being injured, because the injuries are less detrimental to the long term of your fight career. Whereas, you know, yeah, you get cut open, but do you know how long it takes a cut to heal? Like 10 days and you get stitches out. It's not a big deal. Whereas when you're fighting in the UFC, or if you're fighting in these other organizations, it's just the risk of a long-term injury is so much higher. Now I don't have to worry about that. So it's like, I feel like I can go out there with like this little piece of fear out the window.
Oh man, you got a lot of balls to do this, you know. Back to the training, because I'm going to touch on you wanting to do this again, but I was looking at your Instagram and I was comparing it to like photos maybe from like a year ago. Did you bulk up a little bit for this? Like you look a little bit more like
thank you. No,
showing
I
off
did
the
not.
guns. No,
no, I didn't. But there was a small transition, because coming from, you know, when I signed to the UFC, I was 19 years old. So yeah, I'm much bigger than I was at 19.
Well,
but
yeah.
But yeah, so when I was transitioning from in the UFC from 115 to 125, had put on a little mass, and then now it's the same thing. I want to be big enough to really compete in the weight class.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But
yeah.
actually, but the other hand of that though is now going into the straight boxing, you don't cut as much weight just because you want to protect your brain as much as you can. So I'm actually like doing my weight cut a little bit different for the boxing.
With the training, with the sparring, are you training in like MMA type gloves? Like what's different, the difference there in terms of training and preparing for something like this?
A little bit of everything. Yeah, I'm training, hitting pads, hitting the bag, hitting everything with no gloves on. Obviously my hard sparring sessions are boxing gloves because you want to be able to go 100% and not risk, cutting each other open. So you have to, protect yourself. And then I'm doing some sparring with small gloves on. That's a little bit more strategic. So it's like, it varies throughout every training session. It's kind of a little bit different.
How did it feel to hit the bag like without a glove on? Like how was that?
Not bad. It's not what you would
No?
think. I think the most important thing, and this is what like for the bare knuckle boxing and for BKFC, they wrap your wrists really well. So when you're hitting a bag, like the real risk is when you punch too hard and your wrist rolls forward. Like once your wrist is locked in there, like it is really like a weapon. Like you can hit really hard.
Do you got big knuckles? How big are your knuckles? Let's see them bad boys.
I just feel like I do have big knuckles, actually.
Actually, yeah, you kind of do.
Thank you.
Are you having to do any like hand exercises to strengthen your hands or strength? I don't know. Is there anything to strengthen the muscles, calcify them more?
Everybody has different theories. I mean, and some people are like, oh, you have to go punch 2x4s or you have to punch bricks. I don't necessarily think that's the right thing to do. I don't think you should go and injure your weapon. There's like, working on the rise, trying to get each tendon in your hand stronger and getting the muscles that protect your bones stronger. There's little things that you do to continue to adjust, but at the same time, I've been hitting things for the past 10 years. I've been punching, like your hands are ready. Like at that point, I've been using them enough. They know how to hit something.
Have you reached out to anybody that's done this before, like for advice or just kind of like pick their brain on like how to approach it and what to expect?
Yeah, actually. So Thiago Alves is my teammate and he's already had his first fight for BKFC. Extremely successful one. He looked amazing. So especially he's an MMA fighter transitioning kind of the same way I did. So I was able to pick his brain on the differences and what he felt in there and what I should expect. More than anything, I feel like the biggest adjustment is going from 5-minute rounds to 2-minute rounds. It doesn't mean your cardio it doesn't have to be as good. I think your cardio has to be better because it's not a 5-minute run. It's a 2-minute sprint and you have to sprint the entire time for all 5 rounds.
Yeah. That's a good point because when the fights I've seen, when they're throwing, they're really throwing and people don't realize like you gas out when you're really throwing like within like 10, 15 seconds if you're not like conditioned well.
Yeah, you got to have good conditioning. So I think, and it's like, if your conditioning is not good, you can't hit as hard, like you can't move as well. Everything kind of goes out the window. So you can be as strong as you want, but if your conditioning is not good, you're not going to be successful.
What are you like looking most forward to like in the fight? Like I know the rules are different, obviously, you explained some of them, but there's certain things you can do in there that you can't like in other combat sports. Is there something that like you're looking forward to like to trying to do in the fight?
No, I think for me, I'm just trying to utilize the skills that my coaches have, given me, go out there and use the best technique possible. Listen to them and I'll utilize whatever they tell me to do in that moment. And I think that's the best way to have a successful fight.
The thing that I always found interesting about the bare knuckle fights, and when I asked other people about it, is the amount of work you're able to do in the clinch, especially, man, bare knuckle, going over, up, and while hanging on there. And I'm just like, geez, that's something extremely difficult. That's not a position you want to be in.
Yes. Yeah. And, I think I know there's a lot of, questions about that clinch work if I plan to utilize it. I think it's the opportunity is obviously there. I'm not going to try to force anything in the fight, but knowing that I come from a Muay Thai background, that's something I've worked worked a lot, working that clinch game is something I've worked in Muay Thai for years. So just knowing that I already have that in my repertoire definitely makes, it's a sense of comfort.
Paige is fighting Britain Hardin coming up in Florida, February 5th at this Knuckle-mania. I love the name, Knuckle-mania. What do you make of your opponent, and what do you think she brings to the table?
Yeah, she's definitely tough, and I think she's better than her record would say. She's been in some really tough fights. We have a common opponent in Bec Rawlings. Britain has fought, I think, for the title twice now. So she's super tough. And I think that, being tough, and especially being a bare knuckle boxer, you have to respect. Sorry, my phone's ringing.
Oh, okay.
I
thought you were going to like surprise us with like a pet or something.
No, my manager keeps calling me.
It's all good.
Anyways, so sorry. Yeah, I have so much respect for her, especially being in this sport. You have to be tough. And I was at her last fight. I was able to see her in action. And the reason I accepted the fight is because I want to fight somebody. I'm going into her world. I'm going into bare knuckle boxing. I want to fight an accomplished bare knuckle boxer. And I want to prove that I belong, not just fighting another MMA fighter coming over, another UFC fighter. I want to prove that I can be extremely dominant against people who this is what they do.
So this is a multi-fight deal that you signed with them. I believe 4 fights, right?
Yes.
So this is something then you're like set on, you have this fight. Obviously you want to have one more fight by the end of the year, or how active are you looking to be in this coming year?
Yeah, we'll see. I would love to have for sure, at least one more. I would hopefully have, at least 3 fights this year.
Oh,
I love
wow.
to be as active as possible. It depends on, getting cut open, healing, broken hands, all those little factors, but all goes well. I want to be as active as possible.
Bec Rawlings did an interview recently where she was asked, what do you think about Paige doing this? And I don't know if you had a chance to see what she had said, but she felt that you wouldn't last in there, that, it's completely different, and she doesn't think you would last. I just wanted to kind of get your comments on that, but also obviously she's in Bellator. She's doing MMA right now, but there is flexibility there with Bellator. They do allow their athletes to be flexible with some of the stuff. And I was just thinking like, well, okay, when I heard that quote, I think like, okay, this is like a buildup now to like a fight. Like I kind of see like what's happening here.
Yeah, it's interesting. It sucks that she still has those bitter feelings towards me, especially after we've already fought each other.
Well, kind of knocked her out.
So it's unfortunate. And I try to, be a classy, respectful fighter in the fight game. But you know what? I would love to fight people that I haven't fought before, people who I haven't already beaten. And I understand, the frustrations that she has towards me going into now. I'm doing bare knuckle and this is what she did, and I actually I liked watching her fights. I wish she was really talented. She did really, really well. And me going and watching her compete was a part of the reason I decided to do this too, because I thought it was amazing and badass. So all best wishes to her in Bellator, and maybe we will, meet again in the future. We'll see. But as far as I know right now, BKFC has a list of opponents lined up for me, and I'm extremely excited to knock that list out.
Who are those opponents? Let us know.
Well, I don't know actually, but obviously they have a lot of people signed to BKFC. Yeah. They have a lot of athletes, and my plan is to continue to move up and fight for the belt. That's the goal, is to become the champion.
With this whole thing too, was obviously, doing prep work on you and seeing, some of the stuff you said about it. And there was one that popped up that kind of had my mind thinking, and I just wanted to pick your brain on it. Let me go ahead and find it. But she said that, you want to do this for you, but it's also to prove a point that you're, or is it to prove a point that you're just not some, social media person that like there's dog in you, even though I feel you've proved that already with like the fights that you've had in the UFC. But do you feel that you're still trying to find a way to prove that to people?
No, I don't have to prove that, because I know how tough I am. I know what I've done. I know how accomplished I've been. I know the girls that I've beaten and the girls who have beat me, and I know how talented they are, and I respect the hell out of every single one of them. And I think, if you're just trying to prove other people wrong or prove something to other people, it's like you're not doing it for yourself. And I'm doing this because I want to fight. I love this. It is badass, and it makes me feel powerful. And, you know, I'm not embarrassed to be a beautiful woman. I'm not embarrassed to say, yeah, I feel good in a swimsuit. Like, I feel good being beautiful. And I think people are so conflicted in the sense that you have to choose. Like, why do you have to be either beautiful or strong and tough? It's not a choice. Like, you can be all of those things. So no, I definitely don't think I have to prove anything to anybody. I'm going out there and fighting because this is what I love to do. Like, if I didn't love this, guess what? I would just go do something else.
I like your energy, Paige. I like that. I like that. And I hope those listening take what you said and show it to, you know, their daughters or friends of theirs that are female as well, because I feel that's a very good message, and it resonates and it will resonate with a lot of people.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Yeah, it's how I feel. And, you know, I get asked about the whole looks thing a lot. And I hope that we eventually live in a world where that's not what people focus on.
No, very, very true. You know, with this too, you know, looking at it, the 4-fight deal and, you know, you being in the prime of your career as well, you know, is MMA still a thing that you want to do? Is it still like there on your mind? Like you're still thinking about it?
It is, yeah, especially because, you know, being a part of American Top Team, I was able to help Amanda Ribas and just be there and be a body for her to continue her growth.
Which is crazy because you guys fought. And
yeah,
now
she was my
now you
last
guys are
fight.
training. Yeah, now you guys are like training partners.
Well, and that's the thing is, it's like I respect every single girl I fight. I respect the dedication and the sacrifice that goes into this. And there's no hard feelings. Of course, it sucks that I lost. Nobody likes that. But now she's my teammate and we get to utilize each other and help each other grow. And she's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. And now it was, yeah, me getting her ready for her fight because she fights on Saturday. But, you know, next time it'll be her getting me ready for mine and we can, you know, help each other out. And I feel like I found such a positive environment, American Top Team, especially like the camaraderie around the girls that train there. That's how you grow.
So MMA definitely then is still something that you want to do in the future.
Because, yeah, you know, because I've been able to still do it and still be active and roll jujitsu with these high level girls and be able to do MMA sparring with some really high level talented females. It's not out of my mind at all, but maybe, you know, after this fight, my first like bare knuckle fight, maybe I don't want to do anything else. Maybe I love this so much that this is all I do. I don't know. And you know what? I'm just excited to go out there and fight and box. And I have a feeling though that I'm going to love this.
As long as you don't do something similar to BJ Penn, you know, start licking all the blood off of your fist and all that, you know.
Oh, who knows?
No.
Things could happen.
Oh. No, like I mentioned, you're in the prime of your life right now. And, you know, you could do a lot of things. You've shown that, you know, given, you know, the TV work that you've done and you've showed that, you know, you're multi-talented. I get the sense that you just like scrapping. You're like, this is what you really love to do, but why keep doing this? Why keep fighting in general when you do have other avenues where you can make a lot of money?
I mean, why not? Like, you know, you do what you love because you love to do it. And I feel like one, if you're not passionate about your job or your career, find a new one because you literally work your life away. Like, I feel like we were given this life to love it and to like really fulfill. And I wouldn't be doing that if I'm just like, you know, living in LA or doing all these other opportunities. And this is the thing that I'm pursuing. I have had other opportunities come up, like Dancing with the Stars and like Sports Illustrated. Those things are great, but they just come up. Those aren't things I pursue and I'm actively trying to get for myself. For me, I'm training to fight. That's what I do every single day. And that's the thing I'm actively pursuing every single day. It's the lifestyle that I live. And now, luckily, with BKFC, I can fully say that I can support myself for the rest of my life by doing fighting, by doing my career. So I don't have to do all those other things.
They're paying you the big bucks.
They're paying me well. I'm very excited.
A lot more than your UFC contract, right?
Yes.
What's fulfilling about this for you? Because you mentioned that it is something fulfilling. Like, you know, what is it that it does?
There's certain things, you know, people have certain things in their life where they say like, oh, if I could just do this, then I would feel fulfilled. For me, it's fighting. I mean, it's like the most genuine way or the most like, I don't know. It's like not barbaric or back to like I want to like compare it to the Stone Age, but it's like when you win, like you're physically beating somebody. You're like using your body and every ounce of what God has given you to win something. And you like you know, when you sacrifice for something as hard as this, and you give up so much of your life for a sport, to go out there and win, it's the best feeling in the world. There's absolutely nothing like it.
Yeah, no, certainly the highs are the highest of the highs, because of what you said, that you're physically putting your well-being into it, and then just knowing, you know, all the hard work and the training and the sacrifices and the pain that you had to get that win. So, you know, certainly I do know what you're saying when you compare it to that.
Yeah.
With that being said, though, how are you wanting to tackle this portion of your life now? Like, you know, obviously this is a new chapter, but like what goals are you setting for yourself? Like, what do you want to do, I guess, in the next few years? Do you see your foreseeable future with Bare Knuckle, or like, how are you kind of formulating that in your mind?
Oh yeah, for me, my future is with Bec FC. That's where I'm going to become a champion. That's where I'm going to get a belt. I'm going to, you know, have all of my deepest successes. I mean, I've given up everything for this. I moved across the country. I changed and uprooted my whole life to make this possible. And not only just make it possible, but to utilize it, to be the very best, and to sacrifice every single piece of my life to make this dream come true. So this is where I see myself. I wouldn't, you know, adjust my whole life if I wasn't 100% focused and dedicated to this sport.
You mentioned that MMA obviously is something that you want to do, but when you look at like the next, you know, 5 years or something of that sort, or close to that, you know, are you seeing that you're continuing to fight up until that age, even longer?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm only 26. So yeah, I definitely see myself fighting for at least another 5 years. I mean, people fight well into their 30s and are extremely successful. Yoel Romero was one of the best UFC fighters of all time until he was like 42. So yeah, being 26 in the prime, I know that it only gets better from here. It only goes up.
Yeah, Yoel's a freak though. That guy's I don't know what they did with him and his parents or whatever, but that guy's just overall just blessed genetically. Training in Florida, have you seen any alligators, crocodiles?
Not yet.
Okay,
no.
Stay away from those guys.
Yeah, we haven't really ventured out. We go from our apartment to the gym. It's like a 2-mile radius. So no, we haven't ventured off that far.
Yeah, they'll snatch you up. Stay away from over there. That's why I don't like going over there. They scare the crap out of me. This was Paige Vanzant. Paige, thank you so much. It was great chatting with you. I really appreciate it. She fights coming up Knuckle Mania. Bare Knuckle FC 16 in Florida on pay-per-view, fighting Britain Hardin coming up February 5th. Paige, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much for watching this video, and make sure to subscribe for more videos of your favorite fighters over here on Fight Up TV, and give us a follow online as well at Fight Up TV on Twitter and on Instagram. We appreciate it, guys.